Hi there, beautiful beings of YouTube. Welcome to my channel, Art by Lara Renee. My name's Lara, and today I'm going to do a pick a card with you. So just a brief overview how this works. You're going to tune into yourself, ask your higher self which pile has the message that's best related to you, and then proceed to hit the timestamps to follow through. So I'd like you to set a quick intention. What is the message for me today? And then just take 3 deep breaths. Big, long, deep breath. Do that 3 times, settling into the moment. Whatever comes forward for you, pick that. We have pile 1, which is the red pile. Pile 2 is your yellow pile. Pile 3 is the green. Pile 4 is the blue. Okay, pile 1, this one's for you. Chosen the red. The red chakra is our root chakra, and that's to do with the physical realm and how we feel stable, secure, and all our needs are met. So the healing message we'll begin with: whole in the soul. Relationship card is nurturing. The astrological influence is Uranus. Spirit from message. The message from spirit, sorry. The energy that you can move forward with. The soul message. And where are you today? Which was the 6 of Cups, 3 of Swords, and Knight of Pentacles in reverse. So obviously at the top of this reading I mentioned the base chakra, which is about stability and security. There's obviously a feeling that isn't that at the moment. So instability, a little bit of worry, a little bit of uncertainty about what's happening. And the message here is a sense of emptiness, almost broken heart, and we see this with hole in the soul card and also the 3 of Swords. So carrying something very heavy on your heart, and I feel like there's almost grief that's going on in the situation, like it's the end of a relationship, but it's also the end of an abusive situation, or at least it doesn't, it's a level of disrespect that I think there's a realization that you're coming to, that it's time for change, that this is no longer working for you. And there's been a hanging on of, you know, what was once a good time, a good relationship. It's no longer. It's, if anything, it's being really destructive. And it's coming to that realization that it's no longer in the best interest of both of you, because it's destroying any sense of well-being. It's not actually making any more progress, and it's feeding into itself. So there needs to be a change. Someone needs to break break the loop that's going on and reconnect with yourself to begin with. There's not a whole lot of nurturing that's going on. This is the relationship card is the one of nurturing. And we can see the figure here is hugging the child within. And I'm feeling like there's a particular situation that you're going through at the moment where the other party is neglecting themselves and sort of you're wearing the blame and taking the blame for it. And it's also reflecting back to you exactly what it is that you were trying to do for this person. You can't fulfill them. They need to do that themselves. And you need to step back and actually start looking after yourself. Sometimes coming to that realization that it's coming to an end, like it's not working, can give you that overwhelming feeling of grief or a sense of loss or sadness. And at some point it's just going to have to happen, and with time it does heal all wounds. But when it's raw and fresh as it is today, you don't want to think about that. But if you don't make that change, the change will happen for you. So this is also about taking in your power. Like, the truth may hurt, but it also sets you free. It sets everybody free, and you need to break out of that cycle. Otherwise you can't hold on to what was, because it's not happening anymore. There's no sense of listening, and it needs to turn into a sense of nurturing the self, because there's only so much you can do before it destroys you. It's not meant to. So there's a sense of having to let go of what you thought it was going to be. The planetary influence is Uranus, which is about change and turning things upside down, seeing things from a different point of view. And if you don't take conscious action, it can do it for you. So there's never a time to ever be ready. You just know things have to change. So the helpful thought processes for this particular group is I can focus specifically upon what I want. So it's not actually with other people at this particular reading. It's asking, how do you want to feel? What is it that you actually want? Is it love, peace, beauty, kindness, truth, freedom, or power? It's not about a certain circumstance. It's about the feeling that you wanted to feel. Because at the moment the situation is not reflective of that. It says you are bombarded by thought stimulation. And so unless you give your attention to what you specifically want, you can be influenced by that which surrounds you. Unless you are focusing on what is important to you, you can be stimulated by others' thoughts, which may or may not be important to you. I'm getting this feeling that, it's saying that you're bombarded. So almost someone is taking over your space so that you can't even think clearly. And my channel is about empowerment and making sure that everybody in the situation is empowered. We have the King of Pentacles, who is actually in reverse, but this character is someone who's mastered the earthly realm and, business, making sure that they have all the resources that they need in living a life of luxury. But because he was in reverse, I get the feeling that, things didn't go to plan, and there's a sense of blame happening here. It's not to do with a man specifically, it's to do with the masculine energy. I want to be very clear about that, because whoever holds the masculine role in the relationship will be the one that's creating the leading steps of the relationship, if that makes sense. It's almost a feeling of, like I'm getting the feeling that there was not a very nice childhood for this particular person, and it's showing up. It's actually showing up for them, and they are trying to push it out and not deal with it. It doesn't look like that, and should no one have to tolerate anything like that. But to be able to recognize it, then you're best able to take better steps. Preserving what is important to you. Everyone is actually responsible for themselves. So no matter how much hurt they are carrying, it's not up to you. Everyone has problems. Everyone's carrying their own problems. They don't need more. They do need a way of being able to take care of themselves. And as we see in the center of the reading, we've got nurturing. It's acknowledging the trigger and coming at it from a mature point of view. We tend to forget that when we become adults, we have new ways of thinking, but we also hold on to that memory from when we were a kid. Something hurtful happened, and we don't really deal with it because nobody says to deal with it. So it's about going back into the space and actually, you know, treating yourself how you'd like to have been treated, acknowledging what it is that you needed or what your expectations were, and removing the blame, removing the focus on outward and putting it somewhere else, and actually bringing it back close to you and owning it and saying, okay, you know, this is what happened to me, or this is what happened to that person, this is what they needed, this is what I needed, it didn't work out, so this is, you know, this is what I would have liked to have happened, or what I've liked to have had been said, and dealing with it that way. This, the hole in the soul card, is holding on to, you know, hurt and wounds. You know, they could be recent, they could be, you know, back from childhood. So it's owning it and saying, okay, this is what's happened, and this is how we're gonna take care of it, because it's not serving you anymore. If anything, it's taking up energy and using up your precious resources. And I feel like there's a, you know, the energy that's the most disrupted is trying to find some sense of relief, and by giving it to someone else to deal with. And if you're kind of one of those caring people that are taking it on, not only are you not helping them by letting them deal and be responsible for their stuff, but you're also weighing yourself down with additional problems that don't even belong to you. So everybody in the whole reading needs a sense of nurturing. We all need to take responsibility for ourselves, and it's peeling it back and going, okay, how do I want to feel? How do I actually want to feel on a regular, moment-to-moment basis? And how far away am I from feeling that? Alright, there's a lot of stresses going on in the world, collectively and individually. So the pressure is on, especially around money and money matters, and, you know, where people are living. We can only live in the moment. And this is some of the things that cause us to, you know, like the past, causes us to miss the joy that we can find in the present moment. But if somebody is actually like I said, trying to push their stuff out so that they can feel happy, then they're actually preventing themselves from taking responsibility and ownership. And it's just a gentle reminder to say that you are an adult now and you don't have to do that anymore. You can treat yourself how you needed to be treated. I want to share this message: embrace the moment. Embrace this day, this very moment. Think positively today and repel those negative thoughts. Try not to judge yourself or others. This may be harder than you think. What is actually happening is that you're changing your energy. So it's stepping away from the divided thought. Judgment is just deciding whether things are good or bad. You know, good or bad means that there's an opposition. If you define something as supposedly good, then you also have definition of things that are supposedly bad. In essence, everybody is good, just that the actions that we take aren't always offering the best outcome, particularly for everyone involved. So it's taking ownership and knowing that you deserve good things, that you deserve happiness. And you know, if you're in a very upsetting situation, it's a good idea to go and get support. But I'm also wanting to remind you that every moment is a choice, and every moment you can make a decision as to whether you want to follow down the chaos or whether you want to follow down to the calm. And it's something you have to consciously choose. But once you make that decision and have an understanding of what people are going through, that makes it easier to change direction and actually move towards your God-given right to feel love and safety and security and stability and peace and your personal power. So that's it, pile one. Thank you for listening. If you have any comments, drop it below. We're going to move on to the next one. Okay, pile two. This is the yellow section. And if we think about the yellow chakra, it's the sacral chakra, the solar plexus chakra, which is based just below the heart. And it looks after, on the physical realm, our stomach and all the organs that are around that area, which is to do with digestion. At the mental level, this chakra is about how we use our will and how we digest our thought and our thought processes. So when we're breaking down our food in our gut, we are breaking it down so that it can pass through to the next phase. From the mental point of view, our thought processes should be the same, where we simplify stuff. Now when the solar plexus chakra is operating at its optimal, it means that you know how to use your will in the correct manner, in a creative manner. And it's the phase that is just before entering into the heart space. So it's the process prior to the action. If for whatever reason this particular chakra is a little bit imbalanced or muddied up, you can experience things like anxiety. And if you think of a whirlpool of clear water and then you go and put mud in it, it dirties it up. And that's what happens with all the chakras. But in this particular one, we're talking about the mental realm and our thought processes. So if we can simplify and cleanse out our habits and our beliefs, we can think with much more clarity and therefore we act in a better way. So let's have a look and see what the healing is for this particular group. We've got the rejection. So at the moment people are dealing with rejection, whether that's in the present or the past. It's that feeling of not quite accomplishing what it is that you set out to do. In terms of relationships, we're looking at things not going our way, and a lot of the time that is to do with it not being the best outcome for everybody involved. So we will look at that. Relationship card is to do with patience. This particular one is to do with the seasons and looking at the way things manifest and unfold. It's not productive to plant seeds in the winter time because it's not the right environment and it's too cold. So in terms of our situation, it's looking at what season are we in, and what season are we progressing towards? Where did we come from? You know, what seeds were planted? So if you're going through the change or a change and things aren't moving the way that you'd like, this is a very good card to look at in terms of cycles and what's happening, particularly when we look at the healing of rejection and things about not being the right time or not at the right maturity level at the time that this happened. So I'm talking to two different groups of people here actually, because some are dealing with it in the recent past and some of you are dealing with it in way back when, so quite far back. It all ends up getting pocketed into the same space. We're talking about our chakra here and our hub for the way that we digest things. If we haven't properly digested it, it gets stuck in our system. So whether you're dealing with a new one or an old one, we're looking at creating a continual flow. And you can see the clock up in the rejection card. So things are about time and timing. The astrological influences are the fifth house. And it says where you have fun, romance, and create things you are proud of. So this is the realm of expression and how you choose to express yourself and with others. So not just creatively, artistically, or it's also to do with your other areas that bring you joy, the joy factor. The spiritual message we have is reaching out. Make sure you have the right support system. We know you are reaching out right now for help due to a current situation. Support is as much about the physical act of accepting help where offered as it is about the emotional benefits and learning that it's truly okay to accept support however it's presented to you, which is helpful when you're dealing with rejection. Leonardo da Vinci cards. This is the Great Deluge. Alright, so this is about change. Breaking things down and looking at it in a completely different way. The best focus for this situation at the moment is to look at it in a way of creating and creating differently. So it says, I use the law of creation deliberately. So essentially it's planting the right trees. We've got this theme running through here in terms of the phases that we're in and the phases that we're going through. And what kind of environment helps encourage and nourish, you know, the full growth of whatever it is that you're planting, whether it's physically, mentally, spiritually. All right, sometimes when a door closes, another one is to open. So whatever happened here provided an opportunity for something new to come along. But you're having to nurture yourself through that process and bring your attention back to you and not the other person or anywhere that is distracting you from feeling good about yourself during this time. Because it is a time of healing and process and change. The soul cards, two of them jumped out actually. So we've got embarking on an adventure. I savor the wonders of the world. That is supported also by the message about mending bridges. I heal rifts. I am a mender. So this is very much about mending bridges in the past, not necessarily to the person or the situation that you're currently in or experienced a long time ago. It's about making peace with yourself, because it's doubled here in that in order to embark on a fun-free adventure, you need to let go of this other stuff that's going on. Possibly you've forgotten about it being a situation, a problem, and that it needs to come forth and heal, because your main goal really is new. This is new. This is joy. This is letting go and letting other people, you know, get on with whatever they think they need to do while you are healing. The last three cards, excuse my nails, Seven of Cups, Page of Swords, Two of Swords. So we have, this one is really talking about, you really need to direct your attention, making clear-cut decisions. There's so many options available to you. It's about picking the one that is simple and clear and moves you towards your greatest good while you are going through the transition, while you go through these different seasons. Because there's so many different ways that you could take the situation that it's, you know, like you could be building resilience towards it and learning from it and moving towards your greater joy and nourishment, or you can let it upset you and drag you down, and that's just a waste of life. Nobody deserves that. You deserve all the happiness that you can possibly have in every moment. I am seeing the dragon here, so the power of the dragon. Alright, this is about, usually in mythical stories, the dragon is the one that you defeat so that you can gain the treasure behind, you know, what the dragon is guarding. So this is about dealing with all those worries and beliefs and judgments that have stemmed from this. You know, if you didn't get that job, what kind of self-talk do you have? Is it empowering? You know, is it something that takes flight? Is it something that gives you the empowerment and the ability to move forward? And, you know, the Two of Swords is always a choice. This is about making the decision. This is about making a clear-cut decision about which path you want to take and which one leads you to where you feel most happiest, and clearing out, you know, consuming stuff that makes you feel happy, because you deserve it. I'll read this one for you in case you don't have the card yourself. This is I use the law of creation deliberately, and we can see a little child here representing playfulness and innocence, and, you know, possibly children of your own, joy. And they're little mirrors usually. They're very good at helping you reach into your consciousness and make a better person of you. And they're standing next to a tree, and you can see that the tree's fairly abundant and in bloom. But then we are shown what's underneath, so all the roots, and it's meant to highlight stability. And wherever you're reaching out, wherever you're, you know, the roots are always looking for the nutrients and the water to sustain the top of the tree. And this is how we need to be within our own psyche. So it's about cleaning out all the shit that goes along with it. Following on that growth and plant analogy, you know, you need to actually clear the soil and ground before you can plant stuff that's nourishing. So I do feel like this one's more about cleaning the slate, but also directing your attention to the things that are empowering to you and nourishing and playful. The law of creation has two important parts: the desire for the creation and the allowing of the creation. Whether you are thinking of what you desire or the lack of what you desire, the direction of your thought is your choice. The law of creation goes to work upon whatever you are thinking about. So just bringing your attention to what you're thinking. If you're upset and it's not feeling very nice, this is very prominent in these cards, about making the choice of how you want to think and using your God-given power of intuition to follow through. Both characters have two swords, so one is up, one has her swords up, one has her swords down, but she's ready. She's ready to go and ready to move forward. So it's if your thought processes are getting dark and heavy, it's about jumping into that hot air balloon. You make that decision, you make the choice, and you can decide if you're going to stay down on the ground or if you want to jump in the hot air balloon and float away. The best way you can understand your thought processes is how it feels. You've got the option. Does it feel good? Is it scary? Is it overwhelming? Are you spreading your feelings across so many different things where it's creating a lot of anxiety? This guy's standing here and he's actually making an assessment. So I want to leave you with the message that despite the change that you're feeling and what's come about from this situation, there's good things to come from it. If you can find the right support network as well, like stay true to yourself, but find people who can support you and help mend that bridge, like help mend the past within you and clear out your energy. You will be able to think with more clarity and therefore act in a way that's much more in alignment with you. But give yourself that chance. Understand which phase you're in, which cycle, which season you're in. If you're in that grieving, know that that's the winter. It will pass, and you have all good things to look forward to. So thank you. I shall move on to pile number 3. Hello pile 3, this reading's for you. This is with the green, and if we're relating this to the green chakra, it is our heart center. So this is our main power source in which we express ourselves through love and our relationships. It's also the realm of our lungs and how we take in air as a way of breath of life. If it is a highly functioning optimal chakra, then there's much love to be had and to share for yourself and for each other. If it is operating in a less than functional way, it can look like grief or jealousy or judgment. So when we're working with this particular chakra, this is our channel for love and expression, and we need to be clearing away everything and anyone, any beliefs, any conditionings that obstruct its ability to flow naturally. So let's have a look at the healing for this particular set. healing card is self-sabotage. So this is being focused on the things that we say or do that bring ourselves down. So this is almost an attack on ourselves. And then you can see the two figures in the background who are adding to that. We've got the owl, who represents wisdom and usually lessons. And we have the moon. So it's focused on our internal landscape, possibly situations, relationships, people who have hurt us in the past, and we're still holding on to that. So this is about releasing it, gaining wisdom from the situation and moving forward, and no longer being held, the obstruction of the heart chakra is no longer caught up with who you'd associate those two figures with or a certain situation. There's quite a tight grip on her shoulder. So whatever you feel like you're carrying, past or present, we're working with self-sabotage. Now the relationships, two cards jumped out for this one. So these two are working together. We have ownership. So this card's about owning what belongs to us and what doesn't, and letting go of the binds that hold us to the past. Forgiveness, and what's holding in the heart center is clearing that out and letting go, as well as freedom. So setting yourself free from carrying this load. It's no longer needed. It was serving some kind of purpose for you, some kind of benefit, but hanging on to it is actually weighing you down. The astrological influence for this particular reading in this group comes from the 8th house, which is about transformation. Excuse me, and bindings, contracts, and letting those go, and making sure that the next phase has actually released a lot of the heaviness that you've carried up until this date. Spirit is about taking pride and celebrating the journey so far, and how far you've actually evolved, and how far you've come, and how you've dealt with this situation, and how you present yourself. So this figure is actually holding over her heart space, and we can see the peacock feathers. Now that's her internal landscape, and then we can also see in the background the feathers, which is the external, and they're both reflecting each other. So whatever you're holding in your heart, which we've spoken about here, ownership and the healing, it's now time to transform, see the lesson, and just move forward. You've overcome so much. There's no point carrying it on your heart anymore, because you're actually ready for the next phase. So our law of attraction, I am selfish enough to want to feel good. You cannot perceive life from any perspective other than from that of yourself. Selfishness is the sense of self. Unless you are selfish enough to care about how you feel, and therefore direct your thoughts in such a way that you are allowing a true connection to your inner being, you have nothing to give another anyway. Everyone is selfish. It is not possible to be otherwise. It's about honouring yourself as you do other people, and actually holding space for you and your inner children, your inner self. This is cleaning up the landscape within and letting go, sending love to all these different experiences and transforming it into something that's beautiful. It's part of your life. It's part of who you are and what has brought you to where you are today. So it's an acknowledgement, and no longer letting it be a point of darkness, but rather a point of growth and transformation. The purpose is to heal your heart and not take that out on other people, but rather just love and nurture yourself. So we have making a difference, allowing yourself to express yourself freely without feeling like you're being judged. You have every right to be here. You are who you are, and nobody else is allowed to tell you otherwise. So this is about just being open and receptive, but also connecting in a way, like connecting with yourself in a way that's much more empowering than it has been. Three cards jumped out of the Leonardo da Vinci. So we have the Imagination, Major Arcana. We have the Way Shower, another Major Arcana. And then we have the Ace of Earth. So new beginnings, being more practical with the resources that are already available to you, and directing it in a way that's much more natural and it belongs to you. It's not, you're not doing it for other people anymore. You're not doing it because of other people or because of those experiences. So that we have this figure here who's naked and exposed, not showing off or presenting a particular way about him. That's him. That's who you are, the pure you, without any of this heaviness. And then we've got the Imagination. So it's allowing yourself to move away from the situation, to transform. It's no longer a weight on your shoulders. It's actually a point of transformation and release, and it's part of your life story. It's part of your tapestry, but you own it now rather than it owning you. So this one here is, you know, what's carrying in your heart? What are you carrying? And when you release that, then you're able to fly high and move into freedom. So we've got the Page of Wands, which is taking charge of your intentions, but still a little bit immature in the way that you're utilizing it. We have the Chariot in reverse. We have the Three of Swords in reverse. Then we have the Wheel of Fortune. So it's the Three of Swords is carrying that hurt, which we've already covered. And just not letting it own you anymore. When you are embarking on this healing journey, you are shifting from a different mindset into one where you own what's going to happen next. And when we change, or when we move into a new way of being or thinking, that change can feel a little new. So the page is a young sort of teens, still learning, still transitioning from an immature point of view to a mature. Not quite sure on what they're doing just yet. This is the feeling I'm getting from this particular reading. But you're moving forward and allowing that change to happen. It can feel very different for people who've had traumatic experience, or, you know, whatever the crisis they're carrying on their heart. It can sort of feel like it's unnatural, because when we learn new habits, we have to let go of the old ones to begin with. And as the Wheel of Fortune is present, things move in cycles. So while you're leaving behind the old, you're moving towards the new. A new way of being. So I want to do one little thing here. Just take 3 deep breaths. Place your hands on your heart. And just imagine a beautiful light, any colour of your choosing. And allow that light to expand with each breath. And as you draw in the breath, draw it into the heart space. And then release it. Release all the tension, all the worries, all the fears, all the judgments. Just allow yourself to let go. You're completely safe. You don't have to hold this anymore. So with each breath you draw in the colour, let it cleanse, and then release. And as you release, watch everything flow out from you and see the colour intensify in its beauty as well. Just do that a few times. And for the next 30 days, practice that on a daily basis. If anything starts to be quite heavy, or it's quite a charged experience, just go with the pace of your own breath. And promise yourself that a light heart is more important than a heavy one. So pile 3, that is your reading. On to the next one. So the final pile is the blue pile, and if we think about blue relating to the throat chakra, we are thinking about the realm of communication in the way in which we express ourselves. So it is taking into consideration what's on our heart and the way in which we voice that, but also what we think and how we deliver that. So communication is a huge part of this reading, and when we want to express ourselves, the question is how in alignment is it to our heart and mind and soul. So when it's operating at a functional, healthy dynamic, we're speaking the truth, and we're speaking in a way that's empowering and is universal. It is true to our nature, but also universal for everyone that we encounter. If it's the opposite, so the shadow side, we are having miscommunications. We are sharing thoughts that don't necessarily need to be shared, and we're also sharing feelings that don't need to be shared. So this is looking at how we can express ourselves in a healthy way. The healing card for this reading is paying attention to signs. And we can see the character here is walking in a deep dark wood, and we have an owl. So this is about wisdom and moving through what seems like a dark time, troubling time. It's also, she's looking back. So we don't always want to look back, but if we are going to do that, we need to take... Okay, so my phone ran out of memory, and we're going to continue on. As I was saying, if we are going to look back at our past and our situation, do so with the intention of deciding why you're holding on to it, or what can you learn from that so that you can move forward. This is a healing, and this is about looking at the path ahead, really, and not tripping over. If you're looking behind you, you're not going to see what's in front of you. So if you do choose to look back, use the wisdom in deciding how this is going to help you in your life moving forward. So how can you let that go? It's about looking for the path that isn't going to trip you up. So you can't be dragging the past with you, because that will only create more hindrance to your progress. So that's the healing card. The relationship card is dreams, and this is twofold. So we're looking at what is it that you're trying to create in your life. What are your goals? You know, what's your dream life? Putting everything aside, putting all your problems aside, all your worries, your fears, everything like that, putting that aside, let's go on a dreamscape for a moment and think about, you know, what brings you happiness, what brings you joy, what fulfills you, and how can we get there? So are we moving towards that? Are we making choices every single day that are contributing towards that? Or do we find that we've got reasons as to why it can't be, you know, and why are we holding on to that? So this one is also looking at our actual dreams. So for those who haven't done this before, it's a good idea to go get a journal and have it next to your bed, a pen, and in the morning, rather than jumping on your phone and waking up to your social media, or, you know, wondering what you're going to do for the day, just allow yourself to slowly wake up and try and recall what it is that you thought about the night before. We have these dreams because we're processing stuff that we haven't done in our waking life. Even if you can't remember a dream, it's a good idea to note down, you know, how you're feeling or what's going through your mind. Some of you might know the Morning Pages from Julia Cameron. Just allowing yourself in the morning to connect with what's happened during your sleep and how you're waking up, and in what ways can you find a way of letting go. You know, sometimes our dreams do have signs as well, so depending on what's happening in your waking life and how you're processing that at night time, what are the symbols, what meaning does it have, and how can we unravel that meaning? Because I'm feeling like there's an obstruction to your creative expression, and it's all coming from hanging on to something that you don't necessarily need to hang on to anymore. We've got astrologically looking at, you know, what you've achieved or what you want to achieve. This is very much looking at how you want to express yourself now. This is a huge shift for most of you who come across this video, and it's moving towards something that has more meaning for you. So this is really unraveling what's taking up your energy and getting you to move more towards what's important to you. Now, we've also got the caregiver card. This is a card about giving your attention to the things that you care about the most. Lately, we have been distracted with different things, and that is done purposefully. So this is asking you to come back and have a look and see what actually you enjoy in your life, and giving care and attention and holding time and space for that, rather than stuff that won't matter in 5 years' time. It really won't. So this is a almost invitation to have a look within and return to, you know, those dreams that you once had as a kid, and bringing that joy back into your life. So the soul card here is looking deeper, and the affirmation is, deep within me is a majestic radiance. So we have the mountain here, which is, this is about stability, but it's also about climbing above to see a different perspective, and what you see from that perspective should also be a reflection of what's underneath, like if you went down into the mountain. So this is a beautiful card about reflections and, you know, going deep within. This is all about going within, having a look at the inner landscape, because we're choosing this pile as a method of expression. It's like you're yearning for a much more fulfilling life expression. And the way in which you can find that is by clearing out, clutter clearing your physical realm, your mental realm, and your spiritual realm. You don't have to hang on to stuff, and when you go looking for treasure, you find it. And the law of attraction suggests my creative workshop process works for me. If you will use your time with an intention to collect data that you may bring into your creative workshop, you will find every day to be one of fun. Interestingly enough, we've got a fishbowl here, and in order to keep the fish alive, it needs a good environment. It needs a healthy environment. It needs to be nurtured, loved, and looked after, and held. We've got the hands here holding this space. So this is definitely a sense of clearing out stuff that you no longer need, because you can't keep dragging it with you to the future. Can't keep expressing yourself in the ways that you have in the past. I mean, they were useful for that moment, but this is change. This is looking at change. So if you decide that you want a brand new environment that nurtures, you know, what it is that you want to achieve with your life, basically you need to clear out the old stuff first. Otherwise you're going to have, you know, a hoarder house full of stuff, and that can be quite overwhelming. So have a look at that. We've got 3 cards that jumped out from the Leonardo da Vinci Tarot. 6 of Fire, which is victory. Okay, charging forward, no matter what, no matter how if you set your mind to, you know, clearing out the stuff and moving towards the things that matter to you, your victory is yours. But it's putting your attention and your intention towards the stuff that matters, and it's persistence, persistently getting rid of things that are hindering you and persistently moving towards the things that matter. We have the Knight of Air. These are light coloured cards though. The Knight of Air, so charging forward mentally. And funnily enough, when I shuffled this, I didn't realise that this is a kind of like a Joker card with the pack, but I've left it in here because I thought it was quite interesting to see the arrangement of cards. It's almost looking at things with a completely new perspective and making a decision about which ones you want to keep and which ones you don't. So there's 2 views here. There's the internal view, and then there's the high ranging perspective, like looking at it from above and seeing all the pieces and how are they helping or hindering you. We've also got the 5 of Cups, the 8 of Wands, and the King of Wands. So if you are struggling with the situation, because there is change coming, it's definitely there, and we can see with the emotional stuff, not allowing it to drag you down, especially for those who are much more sensitive. But this is a general reading, so take what resonates, drop the rest. If you're allowing these situations to kind of take over, it can be draining, but also a waste of energy, when that energy could be utilized towards something a little bit more productive. Now, for those, you know, like everybody goes through some really emotional times, and it's allowing yourself to feel that, but it's looking at the bigger picture as well and saying, okay, I definitely don't know, you know, how I got here, but I can learn from it, and I know that's not where I want to be. And that's the beauty, is that you have the power to make a different choice. So the one that you took, you know, that led up to this moment where you're feeling sort of defeated and emotionally drained, or someone's, you know, taking away your energy, stealing your energy, you actually have the power to change your mind and move into a different state. So the 8 of Wands is generally about travel and movement, and, you know, setting forth a whole lot of projects. We can see here that 2 of these wands are on fire. So out of everything that we have to do on a daily basis, there's only 1 or 2 things that we can actually accomplish, and that's the ones that matter. So if you're finding that your energy's being sort of pulled away and distracted because of other people, this is saying to you, well, I don't have to engage in this anymore. And it is as simple as making the decision. It's not as easy, but the higher goal here is to express yourself in the best version of yourself. And we have a King of Wands here, who, this is a strong personality type and generally is related to the fire signs, so it could be a Leo, Sagittarius or Aries. It is using your mind with absolute mastery. The shadow version of this is that it can be wayward and very impulsive and destructive. Fire can be very destructive. So it's turning around your mindset and coming from a place of power, which is letting go of all the stuff that's dragging you down. It really is just changing a mindset. And sometimes we have a direction, you know, we know where we want to go, but there's a few obstacles in the way, so we look at how can we break down those obstacles or change it around. Other times we have no idea where we're going, and we just need to change the energy by getting rid of stuff, things that you haven't touched in 12 months or more is a good rule of thumb, and that will shift the energy both physically and then mentally. So this is a reading that's about expressing yourself, but you cannot do that if you're sort of caught up and cluttered. And when you have your clarity comes from having a clear view. So have a look at that. Allow yourself to dream. If you had all the money, time, resources in the world, what would you do with yourself? And can you make a start on that today? Hope you enjoyed the reading. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Any comments or feedback, just drop it in the boxes below. Thanks for listening, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.